Welcome to month 25. This is a module I've been meaning to share with you for a long time, but I needed to reveal it at the right moment because it's quite in depth. The ironic thing is, as deep as it is, you'll probably wonder why you weren't taught this at the beginning of your sales career or even at the beginning here at PowerSalesUniversity.com. It's just that it would have been too complex and too abstract of a concept to be taught at the beginning. But at this point, here at month 25, I think you're ready. To help put you back into state, I want you to think back to the visual picture along with the knowledge that I shared with you in month 6, module 1, knowing when to close. I'm going to briefly repeat what I said because we're going to be adding to what you learned back then. Even back then, I was teaching you how to do some of what we're going to talk about. Here we go. This is exactly what I said back in month 6. One important point, when you are re-summarizing, look to eliminate objections and shut all the doors, even if you already have eliminated them earlier. Also, make sure you re-summarize thoroughly and methodically. You want to shut any doors they might try to run to, and in an effort to escape a buying decision. Remember, they are conditioned this way because at one time or another, salespeople have sold them things they did not want, could not use, or could not afford. They don't just need assurance or reassurance in order to buy, but absolute certainty that what you have will work for them and do what you say it will. By the way, the picture that you see right now is a very important one. Even though I'm as auditory as they get, this is a very important visual image that I cue up while I am selling to make sure that I shut any doors my customer might try to run to and escape out of. It's a picture I've used for over 20 years now, and I make sure that every door is locked with a tie down after I eliminate their objection. If my customer is really slippery, or sometimes just to be safe, I won't just lock the door using the lock on the door handle, but I will bolt it shut with 2 or 3 tie downs. Remember, each door must be locked shut or they will just reopen it. Okay, so that's what I said back in month 6. Now that you're back in state, we can start our discussion about how to visualize the sale like CAD, which of course stands for Computer Aided Design. Now, let's pause right here and do a quick exercise because this concept is extremely abstract. I want you to pause me momentarily and then go ahead and open up another browser and place the words Computer Aided Design into your search engine. And then hit Images. This way, the only pictures related to your search are shown. I just want you to take a few minutes and imagine visualizing the sale in this way that a designer would when using a computer-aided design program. So please pause the video now and I'll see you in a few moments. Welcome back. So now you probably have a pretty good mental idea of what we're talking about. And one more thing before we jump in. Normally when I give examples, I start with a face-to-face example and then I give my example of selling using the particular technique we're discussing over the phone. This time, I want to start with my example of how to sell over the phone and then get into how to use all of this when selling face-to-face. For you salespeople that sell over the phone, in order to visualize the sale like CAD, I want you to always make sure that you have a nice, clean, yellow pad on your desk. Now, not to get too granular, but I actually prefer a white pad because it's easier on my eyes and allows me to think more clearly when I'm making my CAD map of the sale, which, by the way, I do on every single sales phone call or face-to-face presentation, and I want you to do from now on after completing this module. Okay, let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, and here we go. You're going to use your white pad of paper to map out your sale just as you would use a computer and a computer-aided design software program to help assist you in the creation, modification, analysis, and optimization of the sale you are trying to create and design. I'm going to say that one more time slowly because I really want it to soak in. You're going to use your white pad of paper to map out your sale just as you would use a computer and a computer-aided design software program to help assist you in the creation, modification, analysis, and optimization of the sale you are trying to create and design. All right. When selling over the phone, I like to, number 1, draw a map of the following. Number 1, the players involved and what they want. Whenever my salespeople are in a presentation here at PowerSalesUniversity.com, the first thing they are trained to do is ask who's on the phone call. Most of the time, it's just a single business owner, but other times it's a medium-sized company with 3 or 4 people on the phone. So the first step is easy. You simply want to write down the first name and the position of all the people on the phone call. As each one of the people on the phone call start to speak, you can write down pieces of information like the things that they want or anything else that comes to your mind or that we're about to discuss momentarily next to each of their names. I've taught you to do a lot more listening than most salespeople are accustomed to do, which is a good thing, but in doing so, you need to take down a lot of notes, correct? Now, what if 2 people on the call want the same thing, or you know they're going to want a particular benefit? You simply write down that benefit, idea, concept, or even concern somewhere on your notepad, and then draw a line from their name to that benefit, idea, concept, or even concern. I'd also like you to use a highlighter during this process. You can highlight key points you don't want to forget to address. When the issue or benefit comes up and you've addressed it, with your customers, go ahead and cross off that benefit, idea, concept, or even concern that you've highlighted or circled. Number 2, the next thing I like to map out with my CAD map of the sale is where I want to take the customer. As I get new information, there are always new things I'm writing down, like what points I want to bring up to the customer. This will help you so you don't forget what topics you want to address, bring up, or what doors that you want to shut. Sometimes a customer will ask a question and it'll be something that you wrote down that you wanted to bring up at a later point, and now that you've addressed it, go ahead and cross it off your CAD map of the sale. Number 3, I like to map out where I think the customer wants to go, both negative and positive. What I mean by positive places the customer wants to go are things like his hot buttons, his ultimate concerns and outcomes of what he wants out of your product or service. Those are the positive things the customer wants. But the reason I use the words positive places the customer wants to go versus his hot buttons or benefits is because they need to be mapped out and drawn out on your CAD map of the sale, your notepad. You're going to have a lot of lines and circles on your CAD map of the sale. Now, negatives would be things, of course, the customer doesn't want. Objections he's starting to create, might come up with later, or has already come up with, or finally benefits that he's mentioned that your competition has. Oftentimes, as you know, customers will ask you multiple questions or give you multiple objections or concerns and not let you get in the word edgewise. While they are speaking, simply write down their several questions or concerns somewhere in your notepad. A great line I like to use if the customer keeps talking without giving you a chance to address those concerns is, "Do you mind if I jump in and address these concerns?" Usually you'll get a, "No, not at all." As you address each concern, question, or objection, simply end with a line that I've already taught you, which is, "Have I solved that concern to your satisfaction?" And of course, once you get a yes with satisfactory voice qualities, simply cross off that concern on your notepad. Now, 2 other quick points before we wrap this up. This process will also really help you when you see that other benefits, ideas, concepts, or even concerns link together. One thing you brought up or the customer brought up earlier might link up perfectly with something that the customer just brought up or you brought up right now. In any of these cases, simply draw a line from one of the benefits, ideas, concepts, or even concerns that you circled on one part of your piece of paper to the other. Then at the appropriate moment, bring up these benefits, ideas, concepts, or even concerns to the customer, and then link them positive or negative. When linking concepts, remember, you are either promoting a benefit or shutting and locking a door that needs to be closed. And finally, when you're visualizing the sale like CAD, underneath their benefits, ideas, concepts, or even concerns that you've written down, jot down a couple of paths that either they could take, in which case you'd maybe want to shut certain doors, or which path you could take with the conversation to influence them. Let me give you a visual to help you. Picture a flow chart and how oftentimes it has a yes, and then you follow the arrow and it goes to a certain direction, or a no and it goes in another direction. And one more thing. For those of you that sell face-to-face, you are simply visualizing this whole process we've been discussing. Now, I'm not going to lie. you're definitely at a disadvantage. It's a lot easier to sell over the phone and to write all of this out. However, if it was me, I would write it all out anyway, but simply a lot smaller so the customer can't see what you're writing down. Now, what about the situation where you're standing in front of your customer with no way to write down everything that they're saying? What I would suggest doing is what I've been doing for years in that situation, which is to visualize this whole process layered on them and around them like a three-dimensional hologram. Put information up into their left side and up into their right side, directly to the left and the right of them, and then, of course, down into their left and to the right, just like in the diagram of the eye chart in month 2, chapter 8, the eyes, the ever-changing modes. Guys, as I'm sure you've probably already figured out, this module and concept is extremely abstract, and this is the first and only time since we've been together that I feel that less is more. I feel that if I keep going, I'd simply be taking you down several unnecessary rabbit holes and I would lose you. I think how much of what we discussed is perfect, and I feel that you understand this concept plenty, and it'll grow organically in your brain into a visual process that you're comfortable with. I'll see you at the next module, and remember, as always, the learning never stops.